Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Geek Remix podcast. My name is Stacy.
And I'm Mari.
Sorry that it has taken us so long to get this podcast episode to you. I've been going through some personal stuff, and so recording has been a little bit challenging. But we thought we'd go through some quick news items today. First one is that a new Lord of the Rings book is coming out this year.
What? That seems stressful.
So it's like in the Lord of the Rings universe. It's not the same story.
Is it not official? Is it based off of outlines that they found, or is it just like fan fiction basically?
No, so there's actually his son or Christopher Tolkien, they've actually released a lot of books based on his notes and stuff.
Yeah.
So this is just another one of those. Basically.
Okay, so it's based off of stuff they found.
Yeah, so based off of his notes, his unfinished work, stuff that he was working, stuff that J.R.R. Tolkien was working on, and so they were we'll just finish this up.
Can I show everyone my background really quick? Hold on, go away. Look, it moves.
Oh.
Isn't that cool? That's my desktop background.
Yeah.
It's the Life is Strange episode something start screen or whatever.
Yeah.
It makes me happy.
Cool.
There's another one that's just Max and Chloe in their bedroom. In the, that part where they're just...
Their bedroom?
Yes, their bedroom. When they're just waking up from that sleepover.
You mean Chloe's bedroom?
No, their bedroom that they live in together.
Yeah.
And it's just like that, and it's just in your background all the time, just in case you want to see... Two
teen girls hanging out after a sleepover?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not the weirdo, okay?
So anyways, this I don't know, I think it's kind of cool, so whenever they have books, they've done this also with the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series. They've put out additional books in the series.
Is the person who wrote that still alive?
No.
Oh, he's dead?
That's why I'm mentioning it along with this.
Well, that's why I'm asking the question. I didn't know he was dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just seemed like a very recent series, so I figured he'd still be alive.
I mean, I think the first one was written 15 years ago.
15 years? Oh, okay, that makes sense.
We're getting old.
Oh, fuck.
I know.
I don't want to think about it. Keep going.
So...
No, don't look it up. I don't want to know.
No, I'm gonna look it up.
No.
Yeah, because the original movie came out in 2011.
I never saw the American version. I only saw the Swedish version.
Well, let's see. Is that the... Yeah, that's the American version. That's not even the Swedish version came out in 2009?
Wow.
Maybe? I don't know.
So is this just another book that's coming out, or is this something special? Kind of you know what I mean?
You ask the weirdest questions. I guess whether or not you're excited about it depends. Do you want more stuff from Lord of the Rings?
Because I know there is extended universe books, and I'm just wondering, is this
Okay, so this is about I think. Okay, so the Elven city of. What is this? This is about the fall of Gondolin, which was the first real story of Middle-earth that J.R.R. Tolkien wrote while he was recovering in the hospital after serving in the Battle of the Somme, which was the largest battle in World War I.
Wow, so it's really going to be depressing.
Probably.
Oh, yeah. Well, at least it's coming from a real place, so...
Yeah, but it's about, an elven city and a quest with a reluctant hero who turns into a genuine hero. It is said to be a template for everything Tolkien wrote afterwards. It has a Dark Lord, first encounters with orcs and Balrogs. It's really him kind of getting ready for the whole Lord of the Rings timeline that he would write later.
Oh, so this was the first.
Yeah, this would have been the first book.
Oh, so this is when you're just daydreaming and you're yeah, and then this
This is kind of the fan fiction that he wrote before he wrote his actual books.
Yeah, it's origins.
Yeah. So,
Lord of the Rings origins.
And there are references to this story in the canonical timeline, in The Hobbit and stuff. And the Orcrist, Glamdring, and Sting, the 3 swords that Gandalf, Bilbo, and company retrieved from the Troll's Hoard, are all ancient weapons made in Gondolin. So, I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool.
I like that it's not just made up either.
No, it's not. It's like, it's like the actual material that he was working on, and it's not just like, I think a lot of the other stuff they've put out too has also been more like collections of short stories, that type of thing. This is like an actual book.
I can totally imagine him laying in the hospital bed being like, I can't handle this, I'm going to the land of elves.
Yeah.
Like, it's over, I don't care. Just like...
You know, that's like...
I've been in a war, it's over, I'm thinking about elves now.
I'm going to the land of elves and everyone's gonna die. Yeah, pretty much. So, you know how we've been talking a lot about loot boxes? Mm-hmm. South Korea has fined game companies close to $1 million over loot crates because it says that they were deceiving people about what the odds were of actually, like, winning something.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, they've been hitting different studios with, like, because, like, they're like, oh, like, yeah, like, these items are, like, given out at random, but really the odds of, like, actually getting something was closer to, like, 0.5%. So you would have to play...
0.5%,
You'd have to play 200 times to get the thing, to have a chance of getting the thing you wanted once.
You know what really stinks about this, like, the cycle of game stuff that I've noticed over the years, and I'm not, like, the first person to, like, realize this, but...
I'm the first person to figure this out.
I just, like, I'm thinking about, like, you know, when the Xbox One came out, loot crates, and all this other stuff is that when something horrible is happening, the game companies just pretend it's not a problem until everyone throws such a huge fit that, like, lawmakers are like, hey, what's going on? Is that that doesn't seem right. And everyone's like, yes, I know. Like, why do I have to throw such a huge temper tantrum? Like, people can't just be like, that's kind of, like, messed up. Like, can you, like, not do that? And game companies would be like, oh, yeah. No, everyone has to throw a temper tantrum in order to have, like, normal, fair things to happen.
So I have a theory about, like, kind of why that happens. Because you see the same cycle happening with things like social media companies and other, like, technology areas. And I really think it's because lawmakers just, like, laws just do not keep up with stuff that goes on in technology. And, like, especially with video games, like, a lot of people, they're like, oh, it's just video games. Like, it's not important. Like, that's, or they don't even understand what's going on.
Even outside of lawmaking, though, like, when the Xbox One came out, and everyone was like, we don't want to have always on DRM, thank you. And then they smugly were like, oh, we have a console for that. It's called the Xbox 360. And everyone just was like, fuck you. And then the Xbox was like, oh, never mind, just kidding. I'm sorry. Like, it's just, you know, it kind of, I can't think of a better solution because companies are just going to be companies. I just think it's an annoying situation where, like, when BuzzFeed claimed our LA Noire video, and I'm like, there's no way for me to get this done other than throwing a public baby fit, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah. I do think, though, that, like, I mean, I don't know if you saw, this is, like, kind of a side point, but I don't know if you saw, like, when Mark Zuckerberg, the guy who founded Facebook, had to testify in front of Congress.
I saw clips of it.
About their data collection stuff, and it's, like, the questions they were asking him, I was just like, oh my god, like, you people don't know how the internet works. Like, they were like, if your service is free, how do you support it? And he was like, we run ads? Like, what? How is that even? I mean, I know it's...
Were they asking baseline questions, or did they really not know?
No, some of the questions they were asking made it quite obvious that they literally have no idea. They were like, you know, they were asking him, like, can you do this? Can you do that? And it was like, what? No. Like, of course you can't. That's impossible. Like, and just other, like, basic stuff about, like, just how the internet works in general. And I think that, you know, it's, like, similar things with, like, the loot box thing would never have happened if, like, they had originally classified some of this stuff as gambling. Like, it's not like this is, like, a new thing. Like, loot boxes and, like, predatory tactics in making games have has been going on for, basically ever since mobile games were created.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they haven't really been regulated because it's not.
I can't believe they have loot boxes and fully paid for games. Like,
That's fucking crazy.
There's like the facade of like, okay, it's a free to play game, like blah, but then like a fully paid for game, and they're like, we don't have, like, games are too cheap now. We need to blah. And I'm like, I'm not sorry that you put yourself into this business model of sinking hundreds of millions of dollars into games that cannot be supported by a normal amount of people buying them.
Yeah.
Like, if your game can't cut even with 5 million copies sold, you have a problem with your business model.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, oh, we have to have the best graphics, we have to have the best this, and like, how about, like, making a good game?
Yeah, and, at a certain point, it's like you also...
Excuse me.
You also, like, yeah, I mean, it's great to have, like, uber awesome graphics and stuff like that, but, like, you want people to be able to afford the game.
But if you notice, all the games that are the most popular don't have really amazing graphics.
I mean, I don't know.
Like Fortnite and stuff, they have average graphics.
Oh, but they're not popular because of they're popular because, like, they're free.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like...
And accessible.
Yeah, but I'm just, like, there's a serious flaw with the AAA way of making games, in which I feel like whenever I play a AAA game, like, God of War I really like, and
it's beautiful.
But, like, there's sometimes, like, these AAA games come out, like, Assassin's Creed, and it just feels like, I don't know, like, just clunk. I don't know how to explain. It just doesn't feel like anything good.
Well, I mean, I can't really speak for that because I haven't really played any of the recent Assassin's Creed games, but, like, I feel like sometimes there is a tendency to focus on, like, hardware and, like, technical specifications and not, like, what actually goes in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, in a game that has a focus on a narrative, not like Call of Duty, obviously, but games that focus on a narrative, like, you have to spend the time to, like, make that engaging and good. But I feel like that's really a side point because, I mean, that is suggesting that by improving those things that you'd sell more games, and I think the point is that maybe...
I think word of mouth is much more valuable than screenshots these days in our current ecosystem of games.
I mean, I cannot even begin to tell you, like, when I was saying like on Twitter, like, hey, we're gonna play God of War, like, we're gonna play it, we're, like, excited, and people were like, oh, like, I've heard people saying good things, like, people that I trust, therefore I want to see you play it, stuff like that, as opposed to, like, oh, I bet it's going to look so beautiful, because it's like, some people, not everybody is going to be playing this game on, like, a 4K television with, like...
And no doubt, this game is gorgeous, but it's not... a lot of it goes towards art direction and scale and stuff like that, rather than the amazing graphics. Graphics are really good, but they take you nowhere if you don't put effort into making the place look good.
I mean, I don't know how, like, is that, like, really what costs the most in terms of making a game, though?
Well, cost most is, like, man hours, and what costs the most is, abusing your low-level programmers and their dreams so that they'll work way past their limits because they have a dream of making video games until they're burnt out and you fire them. That's what costs the most. But,
What?
Labor is what I'm saying. And I was talking about how they mistreat their programmers and stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. I guess I was just saying, like, if a game company was going to make cuts to their overhead cost, like, what would be the area where they would cut from.
I don't know.
Do you know what I mean?
I know that the
Because
Witcher...
like we always harp on about like the graphics and stuff and wanting better narrative, but like what if like once you get the graphics set up, that's not really the part that costs the most? I don't know.
So I know that The Witcher was made by a much smaller team, and it was cost a lot less to make, and that was a very large and detailed game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not quite sure. I think what it is that they keep trying to make games within a short period of time.
Oh yeah, that'll
so
do
that
it.
they have to hire tons and tons of people to work on it at the same time, and then like rush it, and that'll like inflates the cost. While on the other hand, like CD Projekt Red, they have way fewer people working on it for a longer period.
For like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like a completely different monster.
Yeah.
So I think as I said, like with the AAA system, they try to push these games out really fast, really expensive, and then they go, oh, it didn't make enough money. And I'm like, you sold 5 million copies of Tomb Raider. Like, that's your problem. Like,
Yeah.
you need to fix your business model.
Well, you know, that it's kind of like when they were putting out, like, literally like a Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed game, like, every single year. And then it's, you know, some of the games were not doing as well as they wanted to. And I'm not on that story yet.
I'm sorry. It's too late. Oh, shit. Nothing. Good. Keep going.
So, and some of the games, like, weren't living up to, like, expectations, and you also have to be careful of, like, overwhelming your audience, too. Like, with a game that's a series. So, but anyways, you want to move on, I guess, so we'll move on.
I didn't mean to do that. I just was, like, not thinking. I accidentally went to the next tab in case you are listening. Yeah.
So the Stardew Valley PC multiplayer update should be ready in about a month, and this was about like 10 days ago, so it's in the next few weeks or so.
It only took, what, 3 years?
I don't even
2
know.
years.
I mean, I honestly, like, I have a hard time playing games like Stardew Valley just because, like, I really enjoy it at first, and then I get really overwhelmed by, like,
all the options.
Well, like, everything needing to be, like, perfect.
Oh.
Like, I played, what's that game? Harvest Moon. For a while, and then all of a sudden I, like, just got really overwhelmed by thinking, like, oh, I have to have, like, the perfect, like, just the right amount of, like, fields and, like, just the right amount of cows, and, like, everything has to be right, and if I did something wrong, it, like, really stressed me out. And, like, so it's like I don't seem to find them as, like, relaxing as a lot of people do.
I think the reason why people find them relaxing is because it takes up every, like, ounce of your mental space so that you don't think about other things. That's what I find relaxing. Listening to a podcast and playing Stardew Valley at the same time, I'm like, there's no room.
There's no room for other
thoughts. I'm completely, like, immersed in every way. There's no possible way I can be stressed out by intrusive thoughts. But at the same time, I can totally understand why you would be like, oh my god, like, how am I supposed to make my farm, like, the perfect, like, thing?
Oh yeah, like, and if I like, okay, so I think it's because, like, my brain has this thing about, like, optimization. Like, I need everything to be running, like, perfectly, and when it
takes you about an in-game year to get that going, because usually what I do is I just mine and mine and mine until I can afford the auto sprinklers. And that's when I get full optimization.
Yeah. But I think it's cool that they'll have multiplayer so that people can, like,
Does anything relax you, ever?
I like listening to audiobooks and going for walks.
Okay, that's... Sure.
That's usually what I find most relaxing. For those for people who are not playing on the PC version of the game, Switch will get multiplayer after this release, with Xbox One and PS4 coming sometime after the Switch update.
Except on the Switch, you can't even, like, talk to the person that you're playing with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
The Switch was a good idea, though, because I really liked having it mobile. And
Yeah,
by mobile, I mean being able to play it laying down in bed. Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Next up is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice wins big at the 2018 BAFTA Games Awards. And now, we didn't end up playing this game because,
It's triggering, basically.
yeah, like, to paraphrase.
If anyone wants to make fun, it's like, no, actually, Stacy, you can...
Yeah, so the game, basically what I was afraid of is that the game simulates, like, auditory, like, hallucinations and stuff like that, and I've had to deal with that in the past before, and it, like, I just really didn't feel like trying to play this game and getting, like, all freaked out and stuff. But I always thought that it was great that this game kind of tackles mental health in a different way.
Yeah, I like playing games with mental health, but sometimes, you know, people, like, send us a game and it's like, she was locked inside of a mental health institution. I'm like, no, I can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And it's like, and it's honestly, it's sometimes I'm equipped to handle it. Sometimes I can be like, oh yeah, this is okay. And other times I'm just like, I don't have the, like, mental fortitude to handle this right now.
Because it's just basically gonna put our brains in, like, hey, remember that time that happened to you?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I don't want to remember that right now.
Yeah. So it took home awards in 5 categories, and I just wanted to recognize that because I think it's a big deal that a game that deals with mental health was, like, so recognized by a bunch of this stuff. And also, the best game nod at the BAFTAs went to What Remains of Edith Finch, which also is pretty cool because I really like that those stories, like, beat out, like, Assassin's Creed Origins, Horizon Zero Dawn, Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Odyssey, like, big games. And Edith Finch took home the Best Game award, and I just think it's cool that it's, like, a different kind of story that is, you know, getting some recognition. If you haven't played What Remains of Edith Finch, it's about, like, I don't know, I always describe it as it's like a girl, like, walking around like almost like a Harry Potter style house, seeing stories, like, of her family, basically. And there is some, like, tragedy in it, but it's also a very beautiful story.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it's about your interpretation of tragedy, I would say.
Well, yeah, and it's, like, how you think about and deal with, tragic stuff. So the High School Sports Association, the National Federation of State High Schools, which is, like, the United States' primary, like, sanction organization for... You're recording the audio, right?
Yeah, look.
Oh.
Here. See?
Okay.
Blah, blah, blah,
I just wanted to see it.
Okay,
Sorry. Basically, the NFHS writes the rules for, like, 17 different sports played by almost 8 million students in the United States, and they're going to be sanctioning eSports now.
Okay.
Like, as an actual sport. So far, this includes, like, sports, MOBAs, and fighting games, but
to
not...
anyone who's going to be like, video games aren't a sport, and I'm like, well, chess is counted as a sport, so shut up.
Yeah, it's true.
It's over.
Yeah, but no, the shooter category, including stuff like Counter-Strike and Fortnite, is excluded.
That seems like a good choice.
Yeah.
Go Counter-Strike where it says terrorists win. I don't know. That seems like not appropriate for school right now.
Said, first-person shooter games, we believe, do not fit within the education mindset that we are hoping to bring to this activity. And here's the thing, is, like, I have absolutely no issue with shooter games.
No, me neither.
Existing or people playing them
but
at all.
With our current climate, maybe don't have shooter games in school right now.
Well, yeah, this has nothing to do with, like, whether people should be able to play them or buy them or whatever. This is just about, like, is it, like, a sanctioned school sport? That type of thing.
Yeah, I can imagine, like, Hearthstone being one, or, like, StarCraft, that could be a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Or, like, I don't know, I'm not up to date with
Holy moly, check this out. Some 72% of high school students consider themselves gamers.
Good.
So we need to make sure that, as a national governing body, we work with students' interests and be part of what the students are liking and what they're doing. And they will also be forming partnerships with game developers to create a slate of 10 formally sanctioned games. Every state will be able to choose which games are available to its students. So if a single state says, like, oh, we don't want, like, fighting games, or we don't want this type of game, like, they can do that. So I think that's kind of cool, though, because it's like we always talk about games being recognized beyond just like being entertainment, and this is, I think, a big step in that direction. So, yeah.
Excuse me.
Next
one?
So hold on. So before we go on to like the next like actual tabs, there were one other thing I wanted to mention is that there's now a bathtub Geralt figurine. From The Witcher.
I wish they had modeled a penis onto his body, because you see boobies in bush, but you don't see any pee-pee. I want to see Gerald's.
You want to see pee-pee?
I want to see some pee-pee. Unless he has a vagina, then that's fine too. Aww. Here, what did you Google?
Just Google bathtub Geralt figurine. Oh, what?
Nope, that's not it.
How did you not get it?
Here's a different one.
I think it. Yep.
Is it the cutie one, or is it like the serious one?
I don't know. Is that?
That's a custom made one.
Yeah.
Sure.
So.
Okay, so it has to be this one. Okay.
Yeah, that's the actual like.
That's the official one?
The little adorable one.
Hey, CD Projekt Red, I understand that you guys are a mostly male team, and I respect that, and I respect your choices. But if I'm going to see boobies and bush, I want to see some pee-pee, too. Okay? I want to see some of that Gerald pee-pee. Alright? I've played some of your games, like a little bit, not like a ton. There's some booby sways and stuff. I want to see an erect pee-pee.
I don't know.
Wait, how am I weird? I saw a close-up of that redhead's bush at the beginning of Witcher 2, okay? The game starts as a close-up of her bush.
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating. So, I want to see some pee-pee.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I want to leave.
Okay. Anyways, and then there were a couple other things I was going to talk about before we get to the weird news stuff.
Oh, okay.
So,
Did I not open them up, or?
No, they were just, like, things that we were going to, like, topics.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to, like, actual links.
Let's look at my cool background, then.
So I thought we could talk about our thoughts on Ready Player One, since we both watched that.
I liked it. I understand that, like, a lot of the complexities of the book cannot be summed up in a 2-hour movie.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because it was like, the book was like, redistribute the wealth, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, cool. And in the movie, it was just basically about having fun.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I did appreciate that the movie actually did include was the whole, like, which I wasn't sure if the movie would cover, was the whole thing about, like, how do you know this person that you know on the internet?
Yeah.
You know, like...
It missed out on some good opportunities, especially with, what's-his-face's best friend, where her mom told her, like, oh, you can't get anywhere being a black woman, so I want your avatar to be a white man.
Spoilers.
Well, too late. So, but then, like, and then some other topics. I was kind of bummed that, one of the reasons why the main character liked that girl so much was because he stalked her and found out her avatar really did look like her.
Mm-hmm.
And except for the birthmark. So what? Oh shit!
You're
sorry.
just going into like all the I don't even know why I like brought this up, because
it's too late.
You literally can't handle talking about things without spoiling.
I don't know how to do it, man. Okay. What I like though is that, like. Honestly, I still had, like, a really fun time because there was just so much happening I couldn't even think.
Yeah. And so it's interesting because I feel like that book has gotten a lot of flack. Some of it deserved, because I feel like there are some, like, cringy moments in the book that maybe should not have been in it.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, whenever people pick on it, I really just feel like they're picking on the lead character for being a dork. Which, like, I don't really appreciate, because it's like,
Yeah.
he's a dork.
And so are you for reading it. If you're reading it, you're already a dork. It's too late.
I know. And, like, I mean, you know, and I also don't really like it when it's like adults read these books about teens and they're like, oh, like, they're so awkward. It's like, yeah, like, were you
It's
not?
kind of like when people played Life is Strange, like, teens don't talk like that. I'm a teen. I'm like, excuse me, I just looked at your other tweets. You do.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, they're like, who says, like, shaka blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I look at their other Tumblr posts or their other comments on Reddit, and I'm like, do you know who you are?
I mean, it's like, you may not use those exact words, but, like,
you say things that are equally stupid.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'm not just pretending that we're, like, immune from that. Like, we still say cringy stuff on the internet, and we're definitely not teens anymore. You know?
And people are like, okay, I can't believe, like, she would say something like, that's so hardcore in an emotional moment. And I was like, haven't you ever been in, like, in, like, a moment where you found out your friend had something bad happen to them, and you're like, oh, dude, that sucks.
Yeah.
And you say that, and you're like, that's what you say.
And
like,
that's, like, a really friggin' weird thing. Like, and, like, if you actually, like, think about it, that's, like, a kind of,
like a weird thing to say, but, like, that's what you say.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks, or, like, that sucks hardcore. Like, that's what you say.
Yeah.
When, like, your friend's like, yeah, this, like, horrible thing happened to me, I'd be like, oh, that really fucking sucks hardcore. Are you okay? Like, that's what I would say. Like,
Mm-hmm.
So, dear everybody who thinks that, like, awkward characters are not good, I'm like, okay, that's because it's you, though, so.
I know. And so, anyways, I found the movie to be pretty enjoyable. Obviously, like, they had to change some stuff, like, because they can't, like, you know, go into, like, all of the things in this 2-hour movie.
I like that they changed the challenges a lot.
Yeah.
The challenges were completely foreign, so that when I went into the movie, I still was able to be like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. Like,
and also, I feel like there were also some more opportunities given to other characters, specifically talking about Artemis, that, like, she does more things in the movie than she does in the book. Not that she doesn't do things in the book, but I feel like the movie, like, let her shine in a couple different ways. Like, there's a couple specific things that she does that she were given to, like, male characters in the book, and I thought that was kind of cool.
She was a little gutsier, I guess.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, do you remember the whole section at the end? Like, when she goes to the center and stuff?
Yes.
Like, that she wasn't the one to do that.
I don't remember enough. I haven't read the book in years. So, yeah. I just remember different things being like, oh, that's so different. And, like, you know, the scary part, I'll just call it the scary part. I really enjoyed that. I was like, how did they did such a good job seamlessly putting the two things together.
The scary part?
The scary part. Remember where the second challenge?
Oh, yeah. I loved that.
They did such a good job. Because I was like that. Watching them walk through the scenario. And I was like, this is so, like...
Okay.
Seamless. Like, it didn't look fake at all. I was like, how did they do this?
Yes,
like,
yes. And they made it even look like it was the actual, like, thing. Not, like, super hyper real and sharp. Like, it was actual...
Like, it looked like I was watching the thing that it was based on.
Yes.
Like, I was like, wow, that's, like, incredible that they did that.
It's so cool because, like, when I remember, like, you know, okay, so I reread the book in lead up to the movie because I was like, oh, I just want to be able to, like, see what all, like, the differences are. Yeah. And I remember, like, listening to the challenges that they go through and thinking, like, how are they going to, like, do this in a movie? And some of the ways that they changed it, I just thought was, like, wow. Like, especially that second one.
The second one, I was like, because I'm a big fan of that. And,
yes. Yeah.
So, like, they had this one iconic thing that happens.
Yep. Yeah.
And I was like, and I knew what was gonna happen.
And you still are like, oh my god.
Yeah, no. And I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. Get out of there. And it was just like anybody who was familiar with that source material, you were like, don't. And
yeah.
And it was just really funny because one of the characters was like, oh, I've never like absorbed this media
yeah,
before.
I've never seen this and stuff.
And so everyone's like, how come you've never seen this? And then just they just keep making, like, mistakes. You're like, don't do that!
I also kind of like it how that played on the whole, like, you know, here's this, like, really, like, classic thing, and everyone's like, how have you not seen the classic thing, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And they keep making the exact wrong mistake. And they see, like, something that out of context.
Like, what's going on? What?
Out of context, they see this thing, and they're like, oh, hi! Like, whatever! But then, like, you're like, don't! Run away! Run away from that! And they're like, oh, okay, like, can you help me? I'm like, no!
Oh, God, it was so... I really enjoyed that movie. I think that... And I do think that, like, if you're okay with, you know, seeing, like if you're down with, like, nerdy stuff, I think you'll enjoy it. And if you were disappointed by some of the, like, kind of, like sexist and, like, transphobic things in the book, there's not that much of it in the book, but if you were disappointed by that, I think that you will appreciate that those things are not in the movie.
They took it a lot safer. They simultaneously took out the offensive stuff, but they also took about a lot of the stuff that was, like, heavily weighted in the book as well.
Mm-hmm.
That I would say, I was like, which would be kind of hard to put in the book, but it's like...
Well, yeah, there was one specific thing in particular that they took out that would have... I feel like it would have given the movie a little bit more of, like, a sinister feel to it if they had included it.
I don't know what you're talking about. But...
It was one of the deaths. There was a death that they took out that I think that if they had included it, it would have.
I think they're directing it more towards kids though. So that's
I agree, and especially like it. There are parts of it that really have that, like, so the Ready Player One is obviously built a lot around, like, 80s nostalgia. And, like, what I thought was kind of cool is that, like, when you actually look back at the movie, like, as a whole, it kind of has, like, an 80s, like, kids against the adults kind of feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I really appreciated that they kind of, it's, you know, almost like with Stranger Things, where it's, like, the kids are gonna, like, figure things out, you know? Anyways, we started playing God of War, so I wanted to just, like, you know, talk a little bit about initial thoughts on that, because it's really cool. We're not on that yet.
Okay. I like it so far. We haven't finished it yet. But
No, we haven't finished it, but I guess I just wanted to, like, give...
I'm very interested in seeing the perspective of a father-son relationship in a medium that I actually care about.
Yeah.
I think if it was a movie, I'd be like, nah, I don't give a shit.
No, I totally agree, and I think it's, you know... so far the Atreus, the son, is a very well done character, because it's like, it's so easy for, like, kid characters to be really annoying, or, like, for them to, like, you know, you're fighting in the game, and so you want the kid to not just be like, oh, like, this is one giant, like, escort mission that we just have to, like, constantly protect him and, like, all this stuff. And
I feel like they took a lot of notes from The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Which is not bad. I think they were basically going off of, like, a good template.
Yeah. So.
But he's a very different person than Ellie, for sure.
Yeah.
And they're dealing with a very different scenario. But they kind of has the same, like, Joel from The Last of Us, this isn't a spoiler, loses his family. And Kratos, he lost his first family too. Mm-hmm. So I like seeing Kratos dealing with his emotions, and for people who are like, oh, I don't want to see Kratos being like emotional or whatever.
He's still plenty gruff and
stoic. I feel like within the context of Kratos' character, this all is still within his, like, emotional range.
Yeah, for sure. This doesn't feel like, you're not, like, watching it being like, what? Come on.
Like, Kratos, like, crying and, like, laying on the ground being like, let me tell you about, like, what happened. No, he's still, like, emotionally constipated in many ways.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate, because, like, a lot of people are that way, and I want to see that kind of see him open up a lot.
Okay, so now let's get on to some weird news.
Okay,
unless there was
perfect.
something else you wanted to say.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Did you know Neopets was run by Scientologists?
I did know that. I know that Tess, our animator, was like, "Oh, I did research into this. It's not as true as people say. It's true, but it's not like as true."
Yes. So they employed business practices directly connected to the Church of Scientology. It was like, I think, well, like I'm trying to like figure out from this exactly what basically they had like a business model that they broke down into like certain areas, and one of the things that they had actually wanted to do but didn't do was add religious elements to the game. So like,
I love Neopets. I hope like there should be like another Neopets, because Neopets now sucks, and I got banned. And I'm so mad. I had like an 8-year account or some shit.
And they also had this like, oh, they actually like they wanted to like actually bring Scientology directly into it.
But they didn't. So
Well, they didn't, but no, but I mean they did use like business practices connected to it. They also fired anybody who they did not morally like agree with. So like people who, not just people who had like different opinions, but like and then there was a bunch of like the new staff were like all Scientology. Basically like it's kind of like crazy, because I mean I never knew this.
well,
So
yeah, I'm not a pro Scientology person. I don't think that they're a very good organization. Man, Neopets.
does anyone who actually knows like about it?
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, and you know, some people might defend them for reasons.
Yeah, I mean, so I feel like it's different from the whole like freedom of religion stuff because of the tactics that Scientology uses to keep people in the church.
Well, they basically blackmail you.
Yeah. Like with some really...
And they kidnap people, too.
Yeah. So, obviously that's not cool. They had wanted to, like, further integrate Neopets and Scientology. I think we're pretty lucky that they didn't, because that would have been really creepy.
I basically would be a Scientologist, then. Like, I would have fallen for its, like, hook, line, and sinker, obviously, for sure.
Yeah. The world's first sex doll brothel caters to those who don't want a human touch. We're on the next one now.
Oh. Who don't want human touch.
Yeah, so if you want to go to a brothel, but you don't want to be around people, there's a place that you can go to just have sessions with sex dolls.
The patrons of the plastic prostitutes have mostly been respectful, but there was this
one guy.
Great. There's always that one guy.
Oops.
Oop. Go away.
There's always that one guy.
So...
Yep.
So are they like cleaned thoroughly?
So basically each of the dolls is set up to have like 12 quote unquote sessions per day.
What do you mean? Like, do they clean them between, or do they switch out the vag, or what?
No, I think I think they have to clean them or something. But no, it basically just means like they have like they each have like 12 like appointments, like with any service industry.
Yeah,
they have 12 appointment slots that you can book. So
how much time in between is allotted for cleaning?
I mean, I imagine it's just like a tanning bed. They clean tanning beds in between patrons.
Yeah, but like, so a tanning bed is just like a flat surface, and they wipe it down. A sex doll has a lot of crevices. They might have holes, and a lot of liquids are going to be happening.
Yeah, I don't know what the rules are in terms of like, do they ask that people wear protection? Like, is that something that...
Yeah, but are people going to listen,
Well, no, I know, but like, would they ask that you do that anyway, and then like also clean them? Like, if you were a person who wanted to book a session, would you think to yourself like, I want to wear protection to protect myself? Because it's like people don't do it just because of like...
I'm going to have to be honest. I don't think the people who are going to have sex with sex dolls are really having, like, they're going to nut in a sex doll.
Oh my god. I'm just looking at some of, like, the stories that are underneath the pictures. It's like, one of the...
And by the way, like, if you're a person who wants to have a sex doll as your girlfriend, like, that's fine with me. Like... I know...
No, I'm not really judging that. I just think it's... I just thought this
I'm just
was,
thinking about sanitary reasons. Like,
yes.
Okay, like...
I would assume that the fact that they have a set number of slots that they can be booked for...
I wonder how long the sessions are allowed to be.
Oh, I think it is... Oh, this is in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
They're all different size with different hair colors and breast sizes. It's each session with a doll costs around $101 per hour.
Oh, wow. That's like, is that more or less than a human?
I think it really depends what you want.
Oh, okay.
You know, like,
I feel like, I'm trying to think if I wanted to spend $100 on sex, open-mindedly. I think I would want to do it with a person? But maybe not. I don't know. Depends, I guess, on what I want to do.
Well, but here's the thing, is that, so, I would assume...
That's me.
Just based on, that is definitely not you.
This is for
the tits
me.
are way too small.
Yeah. Thank you.
That wasn't really a compliment.
It
was just
was.
stating a fact.
It was, thank you very much for the compliment.
The dolls are ideal employees. They're always here because they're never sick, they always look good, and they offer all 3 holes with no complaints or extra charges.
This seems a little disturbing in terms of how women are going to be treated in the future.
Well, I mean,
You know what movie really scares me? This is reminding me of the movie The Stepford Wives. Not the one with Nicole Kidman, but the one from, like, the 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
Where, it's basically... It's kind of like Get Out, but for, I guess, the feminine version.
Well, but, like, I don't see anything that... Okay, so, call me crazy, but I actually don't see anything that's particularly wrong with, like, if somebody wants to have sex, but they're like, I don't really want to deal with a person.
Yeah.
That doesn't really...
Sometimes people just want a nut.
Well, because it's like, you know, it's not always because... It's like somebody not wanting, like, human contact doesn't always...
Maybe they have social anxiety.
That's what I was just about to say.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It doesn't always necessarily mean that this person is, like, women are meat. It more just might mean, like, I don't... I feel awkward about, like, dealing with humans, but it's like I still want the comfort of sex. Maybe that's part of it for some people.
Or maybe they're aromantic.
Or maybe they want to do things that, like, they don't feel comfortable doing with a human. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they want to, like, say weird shit. Or,
Yeah,
like, maybe they want to hit the doll, but they don't want to actually hurt somebody. So they're like, I know, I'll hit the doll.
Yeah. You know, I mean, there's lots of... It's like, you know, people can, like, do, like, kickboxing as part of therapy.
My anxiety is when the robots finally attain sentience. They're going to remember this.
These are not robots.
They're going to remember. They're going to remember this because it's going to lead to the robots also being treated like this. And they're going to remember. And that's going to be the end of it.
Well, I mean, we got to program the robots to fight back.
Well, obviously. Well, unless they achieve, like, it only takes one to achieve sentience and for them to program fight back protocols into everyone else because everyone's connected to Wi-Fi, and then next thing you know, we're all dead. And the robots take over. And honestly, maybe that would be better.
I think that's fine.
Well,
we don't deserve to be here anymore.
I know, maybe the robots would actually be better off.
We trashed the planet.
I know the robots are going to be like, well, I think we're going to do a better job. So.
Yeah. A giant penis mural is going to be painted over after locals argued that it was not safe for work.
What? That's rude. Why?
Because it's a picture of a penis on the side of an apartment building.
What is this? 1950s? Ooh, wait, is it blue or is it...
I don't know.
It's more than one penis.
Or is maybe that... Oh no, that's a different penis. There's two penises.
There's two penises. Okay.
Yeah. So in December she put up a depiction of a giant red penis on an apartment building in New York. It was painted over 3 days later, and now this blue one is up in Stockholm. After they received multiple complaints.
If a dick can go into a woman, it can go up on a wall. Well, I appreciate the logic, but sometimes I think that, like, the logic from, like...
No, I'm not... You missed the best quote. I usually paint giant vaginas, pussies, and cunts. And since I had just finished one on the side of a 5-story building, I felt like a dick was needed.
The walls... Listen, I get... So, I am supportive of feminist art and vaginas and everything. Sometimes I think the logic and I'm like, alright, just because it goes in your vagina does not mean it can go on a wall. Okay? Not everybody, because you're consenting for it to go in your vagina. People did not consent to see it onto the wall. Okay? Or like, I understand the emotional feel of using your menstrual blood for art. But I'm like,
well,
nah.
So here's the thing: is that there is a difference between being like, oh, this is art that is in like a museum where I have to like go see it, versus like this is art of like whatever type that is literally plastered onto the side of my living space.
I guess an argument I could say is that there's a lot of like beautiful art and statues of nude women everywhere. And, well, I guess there's nude men everywhere, too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe people just don't want to see a gigantic erect penis. We're just not ready as a society yet.
But you don't usually see, like, murals of, like, nude women on the side of buildings.
I feel like you do, but maybe I'm wrong.
I feel like you don't.
Well,
where do you see a mural of a nude woman on a building?
A lot in Europe.
Are you talking about a mural, or are you talking about an advertisement?
I guess I don't know. I just feel
I feel like the difference here is that this is not like a museum. This is like people's houses.
I guess maybe the issue is like it's not a penis attached to a body, and it's like them not like being like an artistic. It's just penis.
Here's the like I don't know. I just like I can imagine, for me or you who don't really, like, have as many, like, feelings about, like, types of genitals.
No. I mean, so we have, like, tons of art. I feel like, with, like, the Justice statue where it's, like, a woman with her boobies out, like, holding up a scale, and, like, at courthouses, there's pictures of boobies everywhere.
Lady Justice.
Yeah, she's always got her titties out in all of her depictions.
No, she doesn't.
Well, and the ones I see,
she's definitely wearing a dress. Sometimes she has a titty
out.
Yeah, but
like,
there's a lot of statues of her though.
Yeah, because like they always put her in front of a courthouse.
But I feel like it's the key distinction here is that it's like, should this be on the side of your house where you live? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's like people's.
Do you want a penis on your house?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
Would you like a vagina on your house?
No.
What if it was a flower? What if it was a vagina disguised as a flower?
No.
Not even that?
I don't want anything painted on the side of my house.
Oh, okay. Just nothing at all.
Just nothing.
Not even like a picture of AJ?
No. Definitely not.
What?
I mean, you're asking me if I want a picture of a hot dog on the side of my house.
He's a sausage.
Sausage. So that's it for weird news this week. I did have a book that I wanted to recommend. It's called Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. Mm-hmm. It is kind of like historical alternate fiction, young adult. If you want to Google it, you can pull up the cover. It's really cool.
Can you say it again?
Dread Nation.
Sounds like for an edgy emo podcast or something.
Yeah, except they're talking about dreadlocks.
Oh, cool.
So basically, Dread Nation is set. The Civil War happens, but midway through the Civil War, the zombie apocalypse happens.
Oh,
and yeah, it's pretty dope. And so like the Civil War never really like finishes, and African Americans are like given the quote unquote opportunity to like protect the nation. Yeah. So yeah, but I would not if you're the type of person who like doesn't really want to like read any like not racist.
You don't want to hear. You don't want to read about people being oppressed.
If you don't want to read about that, then I would skip this one. I don't think that this book is gratuitous by any means, and the characters in the book are like really awesome.
But sometimes you just don't want to deal with that.
But yeah, but I do also understand that it's like sometimes you just like you don't want to read about like sexism or anything in your book
or racism or whatever.
You just want to like fucking not deal with that.
Yeah, you already dealt with it at work. Like,
so it's like I don't think that this book like goes so far into it that you'd be like but if you want to avoid it altogether, then I would skip it. But it's a really great book. It follows a really cool character, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of it. If you wanted to listen to it for free, you can check out our Audible sponsorship. You can visit audibletrial.com/geekremix and listen to a free book. What was I going to say? And this week we have a sponsorship. So if you want to click on that. So this week, our podcast is sponsored by Montcast, which is a new video game news and eSports podcast that is hosted by avid gamer Montscott832. He basically talks about eSports, some gaming news. If you want to learn more about the podcast webpage is www.twitchclub.com/Montcast. That's MONTCAST. And over on Twitter, the podcast feed is at eSportsMontcast. So, I mean, we never really talk about esports, so if that's like something that you're interested in hearing about, I feel like this would be a pretty good...
Stacy vetted them too, made sure that they're not creeps.
I didn't listen to a bunch of the episodes, but I like quickly looked through like their tweets just to make sure there's nothing like crazy in there, so yeah.
And their podcast descriptions.
Yeah.
One of them had a content warning, so it's
like... they had one of the episodes, like, talked about, like, some, like, violent stuff, and they actually had a content warning on it, which I thought was, like, a pretty good sign. You know, like, if somebody's willing to do that, then they're probably not as, like, a huge of an asshole. So, anyways, thank you so much to Montcast for sponsoring our podcast this week, so you can go check them out. Also, their podcasts are, like... Their episodes are like short. They're like 15 to 30 minutes. So it's like perfect if you just want like a quick bite of news
info
on like esports and stuff.
Cool.
That's all I had for podcast topics. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about this week?
No.
How long have we been going for?
An hour.
An hour?
I just checked.
Okay.
Okay, well, 57 minutes and 45 seconds.
All right. So... As always, this podcast is thanks to our supporters on Patreon. If you wanted to help support the podcast and other things that we do, you can visit patreon.com/geekremix. Again, sorry that it's been a little slower to get to these episodes, but, you know.
This has been dealing with a lot. Like, a lot.
Yeah, and I've just...
You don't need to explain more. Just say a
lot.
lot.
I'm not explaining. It's just, it's been a lot, and so I've just been trying to, like, focus on, like, you know, getting out the videos that, you know, we're doing. And anyways, if you want to keep in touch with me in between episodes, you can follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at Geek Remix a lot. My Instagram is basically just me playing dress up in punk and cosplay clothes, so feel free to hang out. And pictures of AJ sometimes.
And I'm Geek Remix on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. So
all right.
Bye.
Thank you very much, everybody. Bye.